Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day.
Hey guys, this is Itjustoneguy, and I'm back here with something a little bit different today. Now, ever since I started developing games, the more and more I play games, I notice like how they're developed. And as I was developing my RPG system for Project Hermes, I went back to go play a little bit of Dragon Age Inquisition because it was my favorite game of the series, and I really liked how they did some of the things. And what I noticed is Dragon Age Inquisition has one of the most complicated camera systems I have ever seen in games. And you might not notice it, but as I was developing my camera system and I figured out all the things I wanted the camera to do, I noticed that it was basically the Dragon Age Inquisition camera. And I haven't seen this really done in any game, and I'll go over it in a minute as I explain. Now, first off, you have a third-person camera. Let me just move away from here. The footage may be a bit choppy, but that's just because Dragon Age is terribly optimized and it's locked at 30 frames per second for some odd reason. I don't know why. But the first thing you have is a third-person camera that orbits the player. And not only do you have this third-person camera, you see that right there? It won't go through an object. So right there, you have something like that's done in every game. But normally, third-person games will leave it at that, and that will be the end of it. You have some anti-collision stuff where it just won't go through objects, and it will zoom in on the player, and all that's pretty standard and simple. Where it gets really interesting is when you hit start, and you go into, select, and you go into tactical mode. And you see this right here. Not only does it orbit instead of a mouse look, it orbits on the X and Y axis, and this is something that most games don't do. If you have a tactical game, it'll normally just let you orbit around the around something like this, or most of the time it won't even do that. It'll just do a mouse look. This is orbiting around a mouse cursor spot that's in the world. I've never seen this done in another game. The only other game that I saw that came close to something like this was Baldur's Gate 3, and its camera system was nowhere near advanced. Now, to understand how complicated this is, you have a 3D point that's inside the game world that the camera is orbiting around on the X and Y axis, and you can pan. And if you hit select, it'll go back to the third person character which you was around in the first place and do that. Now, as I was developing my camera for Project Hermes, I actually implemented all these features. But what I noticed is in most games, you don't see a camera nearly this complicated. Look, it even still has the anti-collision. That's like super complicated to program. I've never seen a camera this complicated in a video game. If you're playing a CRPG, normally they just angle the camera like something like that, and they won't let you rotate it at all. Probably pull it out a bit. If you're playing a third-person game, they won't let you pan the camera at all. It'll always be locked to an object. I've never seen them lock the camera onto an object and let you rotate in both the X and Y axis. If you're playing a strategy game, they don't let you do that. You just have a zoom, and then you have a rotate this way or that way, and they might angle the camera like this, but it's basically stuck like this. And this gave Dragon Age a really unique feeling of both a strategy game and a third-person game, because you can play it as either, except they've taken some of the third-person elements, like the ability to rotate on the X and Y axis around the object, and put it into the strategy camera. You see when I rotate on the X-axis, I'm not zooming in. It's just rotating around that invisible game object that they have inside of the world. So you get the feeling of a third person camera while you're using the tactical camera. And this was something when I discovered it, it was so amazing. And this is one of the reasons why I like Dragon Age so much, and it felt so different, just because playing it doesn't feel like any other game, because no other game really has these elements. At least nothing I ever played. If you play a third person game, again, it'll just stop it at here. You might be able to switch characters, but it won't let you go into a tactical zoom and then treat the tactical camera and then treat the camera as a third person object from a third person point of view. Normally, games don't even implement mouse orbit. They implement mouse look, so you'll be looking from a first person point of view. But this helps you make better tactical decisions, and is right for this because it's not a grand strategy game. So you wouldn't really want a mouse look. It's kind of a small scale tactical situation involving 4 people, so this camera is perfect for that. But I just wanted to go over that because as I was developing my camera system and I wanted all these features, I never noticed how complicated this Dragon Age Inquisition camera was. And the developers really deserve a lot of work because this is really a lot of work to implement. The anti-collision system with the rotation alone is just crazy, especially on the tactical cam. That means they had to design most of this geometry around the camera and not going through stuff. And so it took a lot of extra work just to give the feature that they wanted to have a tactical cam and add it into the game. I can see why they took it out of the second game because they always wanted you to play this in third person. But the tactical mode really makes this feel a lot better, and the camera is just so smooth and has so many features. And as a player, you'll never notice it, but if it was a bad camera and if the movement was messed up, you would really notice it. But as a player, you never notice it. But as a developer, I'm amazed at this because I don't see this going on in any game. And I really hope they keep this camera like this for Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Interested in anything I'm doing, or you just want to follow the channel, please like and subscribe, and check out my socials in the description down below.